0800 yo fam, what's good, what's poppin'? Khalid here with another episode of Whatever,Innit.
Yo fam, what's good, what's poppin'? Yo fam, what's good, what's poppin'? 0800 yo fam, Whatever,Innit. Yo fam, what's good, what's poppin'? Yo fam, what's good, what's poppin'? 0800 yo fam, Whatever,Innit.
Yo, do you know what? I'm really trying to tell this story. 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 And it's not coming out properly. Like, yo fam, 0800 yo fam, what's good, what's poppin'? I'm Khalid. Welcome back to 0800 yo fam. I've pretty much spent the last 15 minutes trying to re-record this episode a bunch of times, and it's just not coming out. You know what I'm saying? Because it sounds reedy. You know what I'm saying? I tried to script it loosely, but I feel like in doing so, I've kind of elaborated too much. And yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Basically, I'm trying to tell the story of the time that I stopped pursuing a career in showbiz. Sorry, I'm trying to get my words out. My math's mad dry. I'm trying to tell the story of why I stopped pursuing a career in showbiz after I got bumped by like some dickhead promoter. Some MySpace promoter. How about that? You know what I'm saying? I can track it to that very day. You know what I'm saying? Like, man was just out there. I was out there. I've really had to get up out of the mud. I was out there. You know what I'm saying? I was crewless. At that time, like, I was making beats. I definitely was making beats, but I weren't making my own beats entirely that I was spitting on just yet. Man was still trying to get beats from other people. And the only person I knew that had beats or could make beats was pretty much Ray Ruck, because I didn't really like flex with the people that I was in a band with previously. You know what I'm saying? And also I just didn't want to spit on their beats because I was making my own and my own beats. I had a dream just to do my own thing, innit? But until then, man had a couple little things that were popping on MySpace. I remixed the Ep.062 joint and I tried to put in an audio snippet of that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I just wanted to be heard back then. You know what I'm saying? Like, MySpace was a very weird place, and it kind of was the first thing where you could be heard globally for free. You didn't have to know a friend of a friend of a friend of a cousin of a friend to try and get on the radio. You didn't have to like press up bare vinyl at a mad expense. You could literally do what I did, which is make a couple secret mixtapes and upload them to like a server, put the link on MySpace and get people to click through, download your stuff. Bob's your uncle, you're getting heard in it. You know what I'm saying? But we'll get to that part in a moment. Like, if I think of the profound influence that MySpace had on me, I discovered Lily Allen on that, Kate Nash, Lara Dockrell, who had some sick spoken word poetry as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, I collabed with people in different parts of the Eurozone. Big up Asa, and I forgot the producer's name, who are both from Sweden. You know what I'm saying? There was a day though that I felt I hit the big time and it was time to do other stuff. This was when I opened my inbox and I see a message from this guy Kyle, who was asking me to perform at an event he was putting on at 93 Feet East in Brick Lane. I was gassed, I can't lie, because technically I'd never really done a show or performed live on my own outside of the band. Also, it had been a couple years since the band had broken up, and I left the one I created to join another one, which really didn't sit right with me, because I was at a stage where I I had one of those moments, yeah, when I broke up with, I broke free from that band, where I was like, yo, man, I just wanna spit bars about life. And everyone looked at me like I was high or I was weird or something, but on a real, like, there's only so long you can spit about being a lyrical G for, you know what I'm saying? There's only so long you can do it. Like, there's only so long you can spit about imaginary haters. There's only so long that you can counteract everyone else's bars in the band who are talking about killing, robbing, stealing, shotting, and you're looking around and like the only man that's juggling is you. You're not on a bad man thing because you're not a bad man, but you know that a lot of these guys are not bad. They are not bad. So I don't know what I'm going in it. I wasn't with them 24 hours a day, but you know, there's only so much times that man can go around battling people and be like, yeah, you don't do none of this, you talk about rare. So anyway, you know what I'm saying? We did have a couple gigs though in Croydon. That being said, like we didn't get booked in a grime wave and whatnot. And I was naive to when this Kyle brother was like, yo, come and come and do this event, whoop whoop whoop. I was naive in it. I didn't know about agreements. I didn't know about I didn't know nothing. I didn't know when you were supposed to ask for the money. Like, there's loads of things I was unsure about. So my only experience was when big up bigger, innit? Wherever you are, big up you. Because you used to book, man, for your auntie's youth club, yeah, and the band used to go. And even though you used to be in a long thing to cut man the peas, it is what it is, innit? Man got love for you anyway. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get frustrated because I know that's how you flex, innit? Or that's how you flex. I don't know if you still flex like that, but you know what I'm saying? The man them in the band were pissed, innit? I wasn't, because I know that's just bigger, innit? But anyway, what was I saying? Yeah. Like, there was a palaver over that as well, because a couple man didn't used to show up for the gigs, but felt entitled to get peas. And also, the peas from that gig wasn't even that much, but man had to split that like 4 or 5 different ways. But being in a grime band was different. Like, no one knew how to play an instrument. You either was a DJ or you was an MC, or you dabbled in both. But what opened up the new dynamic was Music 2000. Yeah, I borrowed my copy from Zuby, which he never saw again, and he probably had a couple more records hostage for that. Like, it was a little swap, but I got some of them back later on down the line. But Music 2000 for me opened up a different ball game. I think the rumor was that Pulse X or Dizzy Rascal's I Love You was made on Music 2000. So me and my lot were trying to recreate that sound, but it never worked. In the end, I lent it to LC, who we was in a band together, me, him, Gender and Funks. However, LC and Gender defected to Essentials, so I created a new band with Funks, Drips, Giggler aka MIK and JD. However, later on down the line, like, them lot were fed up of Funks not kind of being present, so they set up their own thing, Kings of Things, and that's what I'm talking about leaving the band I created to join that. And then I was like, I don't like the name, I'm not really feeling this, and plus I just want to spit about life. So there was that moment, and then I kind of just went into the wilderness. But anyway, after I lent it to LC, I lent Music 2000 to Drips, who made Drippos. And to be honest, I don't know why we didn't change the name, but I hooked us up with some studio time at Firm Handed Studios, which was run by Junior, RIP to you, God bless your soul, who had a studio on Brookmill Road, right? But his studio was actually in his bedroom, and man had a partner at the time. So when Mandem was there recording, it was a mad thing, because imagine 4 or 5 man in your yard, the studios, your partner's studio is in the bedroom. There's no seats in the bedroom, so Mandem are sitting on the bed with outside clothes on. Obviously, that would drive everyone crazy, so I understood why she would go about the yard, slamming doors, and huffing and puffing and that. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, that was the first man I see with the Akai drum machines, and the G5 Apple Mac mixing desk, mic set up in a hallway. And to be honest, that night we recorded Drippos. Drips brought the PlayStation, and them times the PS1 had the RCA outputs, so each track was being recorded into Junior's computer, and them times he was using Logic, which had not been acquired by Apple. It was still being made by eMagic. That's how long ago it was. This has got to be 2002 or 2003. To be honest, I'd been to Junior several times previously with Ray innit, with Ray Rock, Ray Smith, Quad Sonic Punk, big up to you, to mix, master, to feature, to do all of this stuff. But there was one time that me and Jamel went there, and I don't know whose bright idea it was, but we bun a zoot before we went in there, and it was the most unproductive session we had. Because them times, man weren't seasoned in the studio. Man bought a rhyme pad, and obviously, you're not going to spit from the rhyme pad and sound good in it. So yeah, wasted studio session. But big up Ray Rock innit. Like I'm gonna see if you got any of those files or MP3 so I can have some of them for my archives. But anyway, I digress. The Music 2000 era, and I'll get to the janky promoter part innit, but the Music 2000 era intersected with home PCs getting more affordable and crack versions of software. The man in my band who had that was Mick Grimton, aka Marlon, yeah, also known as MIK. But he was making rhythms on Fruity Loops and everyone was spitting on them. I might play a snippet of Slammer. That was my rhythm that I made. It was a freestyle that also was pressed up to acetate by Drips, right? And I went to whose studio was it? I forgot his name. It was in Greenwich, and I think Roll Deep and that used to go there, but I paid £20 for this hour to go and record it in one take, do a couple doubles and whatnot. But anyway, I digress. Like, after I see how Marlon was going on with his making the rhythms and stuff, I was like, yo, I need to jump on this wave, car. Music 2000 and recording them onto mini disc and stuff like that, it was just getting played out, innit? So I asked my mum for a PC, and you know, in the black community we do something called a partner, where each person puts in, like, you can put in two hands, which are maybe £20. There might be 16 people in there, and then 16 times 20 is a bunch of P's. So essentially every week someone else gets what's called their hand to you know, spend and do whatever. But that's on the basis that no one robs the partner. I've witnessed a few partner draws in my time, or partner hands by people who have gambled away the P's, and I will not mention no names, but you know, the hood stories and the tales are notorious, you get me? But anyway, man's got the PC now. My mum's paid about £6 bills for it. It came with some abysmal amount of RAM, yeah. And what else? Came with some abysmal amount of RAM and an 80GB hard drive, if I remember correctly. And Jamal's brother Nahum had Fruity Loops because he was a PC guy, had bare software and whatnot. So man used to go make beats at Jamal's certain time, but man had to sneak on the computer because, you know what I'm saying, man just didn't want us to shine and make the rhythms. But in the end, he kinda, I don't know, he was reluctant to give man a copy of the software, but in the end, enough pleading and whatnot, man got it, installed it on my computer, gave it back to him the next day and whatnot, and I was in the game. Started making rhythms on Fruity, you know what I'm saying. Big up Roma, I used to play them rhythms in your whip and that to test it out and shit, freestyle over them and stuff. And then my brother came through with Sony Vegas and Soundforge. Now this is when shit really started to change, because he got that with his camcorder. Sony Vegas is like a, you can compare it to something like Ableton Live. Danger Mouse used it for the Grey album, but you can record tracks in different channels, just like Logic. It's a linear recorder. So I used to put my instrumentals in and kind of learn how to construct and make tracks. And with Soundforge, man used to just dice up instrumentals or samples and bring them back into Fruity Loops. You know what I'm saying? Like, and also it allowed me to bounce to MP3s, and Fruity Loops would only bounce to WAV, so I used to use Soundforge to convert those WAVs into MP3s to put on CDs. But I can't lie, like, my beats were kind of trash back then. It's not even a joke, you know. but it is what it is. But I don't think back then, I think I was making waves, but the man them weren't ready for the direction I was going in, you know what I'm saying? Because there was one time where I made a beat on Music 2000 and I played it back to the band plus the extended kind of group, and everyone just burst out laughing, you know what I'm saying? But I wasn't mad. I just went back to the drawing board and started holding my craft. But you know what I began to realize is that when I started to get my own setup, I stopped kind of being on the scene much, because I was in my yard either tweaking my rhythms. I was spending the majority of my days like responding to my lines, writing bars, recording and making beats, like constructing little songs and whatnot. And with software like, you know, the Sound Forge, I'd make the sample and tracks, and with Sony Vegas I'd actually start like getting to the nitty gritty of recording and mixing my own tracks. It was here that I started to record the secret mixtapes using a combo of my own rhythms and those created on Fruity Loops. And at some point I kind of got into Reason. I can't remember, this was still the Fruity era, but yeah, I was travelling to and from college, like listening to my Fruity Loops rhythms, my Music 2000 rhythms, and also studying like Jay-Z, Kanye and Tribe Called Quest in grave detail. Like once I created my first secret mixtape, I call it secret because no one's ever heard it except me. The mockumentary was basically, it was me just reading from my rhyme books into Sony Vegas in an attempt to remember everything. You know what I'm saying? And I remember giving it to Ray and I was like, yo, like, listen to this, tell me what you think. And there was one track, I think it was me talking about someone owing me money for a draw that they had ticked. Like, that's how mad it was. I used to make songs and the concepts were mad. I still got those in rhyme book somewhere. But that's when me and Ray Rock started to rekindle our like MC producer relationship, started working on tracks. And by that time I got Reason, so I think I got Reason and I was experimenting with bits. So I showed him a CD with the demos of Ipanema on there and I think Primark Boy. And when he heard Ipanema and Primark Boy, his ears kind of perked up, and with his production tenure, like, man helped me bring it to life, you know what I'm saying? And we made a hit, I'd say, but there's only so much you can do with a sample track. With Primark Boy, it was sick, but I guess that particular version we recorded was like mad gimmicky at the time. But with Primark Boy, that version, even though it was mad soft and mad gimmicky, it's still, I think it got me to like Vina V track of the week in sometime in 2007 or 2008. Man had to do an interview while I was on a shift at Marks and Spencer. That's how mad it was. I'm on a shift at Marks and Spencer and I'm on a telephone interview for a radio station. And I'm having to rush through because I've got to go downstairs to start my shift. And that's the thing. It's mad. I even forgot about that time until just now. But anyway, I need to shout out someone called G-Moan. That's Fitzroy Lindsay, who I met at PMA in Deptford, and he gave me a copy of Reason. But in the process, he deleted Fruity Loops from my computer. Like, I get it. Yeah, Reason is thingy, but man I should have kept Fruity Loops. I should have vetoed that move. But yeah, like, my MySpace page at this point is popping. Like I said, I've collabed with Asa from Sweden, who's now an illustrator, and I'm listening to vast amounts of sound which is influencing my outlook and my production style. You know what I'm saying? And I've accepted to play at this night being promoted by Kyle. I roll up and it's empty as fuck. Like, literally no one but bar staff, you know what I'm saying? Man's in the green room laughing and joking, Kiki, I think it was me, Funk and Ray was there, whatnot. And then man got on the stage and I'm just performing for no one. Like, literally no one was there. Absolutely no one. It was mad. I just remember thinking, what the fuck am I doing? I just remember thinking that. So I'm performing for no one. The bar staff were, you know what I'm saying, they were doing their thing, they were dancing. And then I get off stage and I'm like, all right, we're hanging around for a bit. I think another band's gone on next, and I start looking for Kyle. I'm like, yeah, the man's kind of going to get my peas. But man had scarpered. I'd been scammed by a janky promoter. A man that DM'd me on MySpace, got me to come to the place where no one was, because the production was whack. Yeah. And man scarpered. You know what I'm saying? The next day, I was in a rage, fam. Man felt embarrassed. Like, man ran off with the peas in front of the man then. Yeah. And took me for a dickhead. Like, a real dickhead. Man took me for a real dickhead. Like, I was ready to hunt man down and do some mad stuff. And I remember this mad conversation. I was talking to him. I was like, yo, then I come off the phone and my dad looked at me. I think this was in the daytime. My dad come to check me in the daytime or something. And he looked at me and he was like, just left it, man. Because as someone that is experienced in stage and the showbiz, my dad had probably experienced that in his lifetime or early days and wanted me to save the unnecessary rage. I think I was just embarrassed. I was embarrassed. I didn't enjoy being on stage. I didn't particularly enjoy being on stage. I didn't like it. And also, I wasn't as sharp as I would be given about 3 to 4 years. 3 to 4 years time after that point, I was sharp as fuck. I was my sharpest ever. You know what I'm saying? And that was at a time where I truly mastered my production and putting my sound together and shit. It was the whole Up in the Air demo album era that no one's heard. Once again, heard a couple snippets. It was the allegorically speaking writing, like when man was sharp. You know what I'm saying? Everything, my sound, my concepts, everything from the ground up, I was fluid. Like, I'd say that this incident with this promoter that DM'd me and didn't pay me was the start of the journey to where I am today. Like, I hit that night, I'd say I'd hit the lowest point for me to build myself up through honing my skills, exploring the boundaries of my own limitations, invested in myself and assembling the tools I needed to slowly connect the dots. And a little side note, I used to hear that phrase in my head. What is it? Assemble the tools while I slowly connect the dots. And I swear it was like a message from the Most High. So yeah. But yeah, now I'm at a place in life where I feel as though anything is possible. Like, with the focus, consistency and determination that I lacked back then, and also the knowledge as well. And I'd say a good nod to that time is Autobiography of a Nobody. Because it's my emergence from that era. You know what I'm saying? Because at the time, I had reached my zenith as a grime MC and producer when kind of compiling Autobiography of a Nobody, or even making some of the tracks and being on that journey. It was made throughout that journey, but also by the time I got to like the 2011, 2010 or whatever, I was no longer in the circles I was in to push and promote. Like, the whole project, Autobiography of Nobody, is a culmination of my journey being bandless and wanting to talk about life to actually doing it. Like I said, you can only shadow box for so long. It's boring. Like, no one wants to hear about all of your imaginary little haters or your shadow boxing lyrical sparring demons. Like, I'm bored of that. Tell me about your life, fam. Like, I don't want to hear about you licking off bare man's heads lyrically, majestically, physically, like lyrical ability. I don't want to hear that. Like, tell me about your life, fam. What's the day to day? How's the economy treating you? What does how does inflation affect you? You know what I'm saying? How do you feel getting up to work in a job that you hate just to make ends meet? Like, what's it like raising a family? Like, what's it like budgeting each month? You know what I'm saying? What is it like not being in control of your time? Like, these are the themes that we need. You know what I'm saying? These are the exact themes, and I feel like no one has ever given that. My autobiography gives you an insight into that, and I made it so long ago. You know what I'm saying? And I'd say if there's a lesson to be learned from this tale, I know it's a very long tale, but I had to get to it. You know what I'm saying? It's to keep going regardless. Whether you toil away in obscurity, there'll be a day when the opportunity presents itself to bring your achieved creations to light. You've just got to keep pushing. You just got to keep going. As Confucius said, and you'll see that in some of my my legacy pictures, the first step is always the hardest, because it is. You've just got to decide on what you want to do and be like, you know what the fuck? Say to yourself, give yourself that opportunity to make your move, and it's by saying what the fuck, like, it is what it is, whatever in it. And that's the name of this podcast, whatever in it. So keep pushing on. I wish you all peace, love and prosperity. If you're new here, stick around for the other episodes. If you're a regular, let's connect next week. You know how it is, 12 a.m. GMT every Saturday. I'm Khalid Omari. You've been listening to the 0800 Yo Fam Whatever In It podcast. Nos vemos el próximo sábado. We'll see you again next week.
Yo fam, what's good, what's poppin'? Yo fam, what's good, what's poppin'? 0800 Yo fam, whatever in it. Yo fam, what's good, what's poppin'? Yo fam, what's good, what's poppin'? 0800 Yo fam, whatever in it.